Arsenal have tasted league defeat for only the second time this season. After a quick start from Aston Villa, Mikel's men huffed and puffed, but to no prevail. So where exactly did it go wrong? What is the solution to our Gabriel Martinelli problem? And why was Mikel Arteta fuming? As per, let's break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. Yo, what is going on guys? My name is Babs14, welcome back to your boys channel. Boy do we have a lot to break down after a very painful defeat. So as per, smash a like on the video if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're starting off with Arsenal's attacking problem. Aston Villa away from home was always a difficult game. On a run of 14 wins in a row, just having smashed Man City. The stats will tell you the entire story. With Arsenal's 61% possession, 397 passes completed, 35 final third entries, and a 2.5 expected threat created. Not only were Arsenal offering a lot of threats, but when you look into the field tilt, you see that Arsenal had most of control, with Villa only having a part in the second half where they dominated. That's why this defeat is so painful. To go to Aston Villa's ground and to dominate them, like no team has done all season, the XG being all in Arsenal's favour, limiting Villa to a 0.55 XG and Arsenal having 1.58 of their own. The Arsenal defence was clearly on point. Before this game, the lowest XG Villa had created at home was 1.91, whereas Arsenal held them to 0.5. Saliba making 2 clearances, winning 4 tackles, 0 times dribbled past. That was against an in-form Ollie Watkins who has 8 goals and 6 assists this season. Saliba held him down to a 6.3 rating, limiting to only 3 shots all game. Gabriel Magalhaes was also impressive with a 7.4 rating. Look at his influence on the ball, 46 passes, 1 key pass, 4 accurate long balls, as well as 1 big chance created. The issue for Arsenal was an emotional attack. By creating a 2.5 expected threat, it shows that Arsenal were getting into the final third. The real problem was a lack of composure. Gabriel Jesus had a 7.0 rating, with only a 0.04 XG and only 1 shot all game. This game was always going to be about fine margins. When in the final third, can you show composure? Can you be clinical? The Arsenal attackers weren't ruthless. The fact that Villa had 0 big chances all game, and Arsenal created 4, we need to talk about a certain Martin Odegaard. With a 6.8 rating and a 0.33 XG, Odegaard had 51 touches, 33 accurate passes and 1 key pass. But the real talking point was that 1 big chance missed. Focus on the one in the first half. Martinez makes a good save, but for me, Odegaard takes way too many touches. He needs to be far more decisive. Arsenal fans shouldn't be too concerned though. Odegaard's overall stats show 4 goals this year from a 3.24 XG, only 1 big chance miss and a 14% goal conversion. This has to be seen as a one-off game. We have to focus though on the performance of Bayo Saka, making his 150th Premier League appearance. Saka becomes the 5th youngest player in Premier League history to reach 150 games, behind only Rooney, Fabregas, Milner and Sterling. His overall performance was weird. 2 successful dribbles, 1 big chance miss, 22 accurate passes, 10 out of 14 ground duels. That shows that Saka was in a battle. But when you focus on his heat map, you'll notice something. How far he was on the right hand side. Arsenal have 2 of the most devastating wingers in world football. Yet too often we see them isolated at one. Look at Saka's numbers this season. Not even halfway through the season, he's got 19 goals and assists. Not too far off his entire numbers from last season. Mikel Arteta needs to find a way to get these guys closer to goal. Prioritise your superstars. Those are the guys that win you games. When you look at the fact that Martinelli has only scored 2 goals all season, it shows where Arsenal need to improve. We need to get our wingers into better goal scoring positions, centrally and closer to goal. Moving on to the second thing, Mikel Arteta's fury. Not allowed on the touchline after receiving his 3rd yellow card of the season for celebrating a last minute winner. That was a disgrace in the first place. After the game, Mikel was asked on Douglas Luiz's tackle and Kai Havertz's handball. He says clear and obvious, that's my opinion. That is all I can say. I can only repeat, clear and obvious. The reason why I didn't discuss this first is because Arsenal fans are used to this. Referees being poor is nothing new. This game was another example of a lack of consistency. The first decision was against Gabriel Jesus. Right at the start of the second half in the box, Luiz clearly kicks his ankle, doesn't get any of the ball. VAR checked it and said that was not a penalty. Only for them to have given this penalty early in the day, as Liverpool took on Crystal Palace, where clearly you can see there was no difference. As a football fan, it's starting to get boring. The amount of times that we have to talk about referees, making themselves the main character of the games. How can the best league in the world have the worst referees? Constantly changing their minds and the rules. The real controversy was yet to come. Right towards the end of the game, Kai Havertz scoring a goal, which was then ruled out because of a potential handball. Where this gets very confusing is how did the referee see it, despite there being so many bodies between him and the ball, and the speed of the play. VAR then looked to find the Havertz handball, and completely ignored a potential handball on Matty Cash. The thing that we need to focus on is the fact that it was accidental. As Gary Lineker says after the game, we live in a game where defenders can accidentally handball it, but forwards can't. Sky pundit Jamie Redknapp says, unfortunately it's the rule, it's a terrible rule. It's ridiculous and it's cost Arsenal a goal. There's a clear reason why Arsenal fans are getting frustrated. There's too many 50-50 calls going against Arsenal. Look at the goal we conceded against Newcastle, a goal that went in the opponent's favour. The controversy in this game continued. Despite the referee spotting a handball a mile away, he somehow missed a blatant elbow, where Diego Carlos clearly fouls Eddie Nketiah. Isn't this game very similar to Newcastle? Both 1-0 defeats to fine margins, where calls have gone against us, blatant red cards have been ignored. There was a very intriguing article released after the game that confirms the referee on the day, Gerard Gillett, cannot officiate games for Liverpool as he's a Liverpool fan, but he can still officiate for rivals in the same league. Here's where as Arsenal fans we can only do one thing: focus internally. Referee calls going against Arsenal is nothing new. Look at our heritage and even the Invincibles. We were cheated out of our unbeaten run. As George Graham once said, it's fine that people hate us. It's a part of our history. Arsenal have to take the game out of the referee's hands, take responsibility and take our chances. From the draw against Fulham where Arsenal had a 3xg and Fulham only 4.6, to this game that was also heavily in Arsenal's favour. Arsenal have now conceded 5 goals from the last 6 shots on target they've faced in the Premier League. The real issue is not defensively. In all 4 of Arsenal's defeats in all comps this season, they've conceded a combined xg of 2.61, an average of 0.65 per game. Arteta's plan defensively is working. Saliba and Gabriel are providing Arsenal the platform. It's now about getting the chances to our most decisive attackers, the likes of Trossard, Martinelli and Bayo Saka. Moving on to the third thing, a new look Kai Havertz. In football, there's one thing that can change any player. That, my friends, is confidence. With Mikel Arteta starting Havertz in this game, it was to give Arsenal an advantage. Havertz excels at both aerial duels and ground duels. The stats do all the talking. With a 7.1 rating, 35 touches, 15 accurate passes, 2 key passes, 1 big chance created, Havertz won 7 out of 15 ground duels and 2 out of 4 in the air. Mikel is developing a fighter. Havertz's ability to win duels is so underrated. In this game, he was only behind John McGinn for total duel involvements. Look at his numbers from the first half. Most duels won, most touches in the opposition box, most possession won, most tackles, most fouls won, and most fouls conceded. This all comes down to Mikel Arteta's philosophy. Despite working alongside Pep Guardiola, where Pep is far more about control on the ball, Mikel is all about physical dominance. Saying before the game, more than control, I want dominance. Dominance in the right area and not allowing the opponent to breathe. Control in certain areas of the pitch, I'm not interested in that at all, because we can get in trouble trying to do that. We want to dominate, we want to be a threat and we want the opponent to feel under pressure at all times. Havertz has got elite physical potential, a towering 6'4" tall, winning 1.8 tackles per game, only slightly behind Declan Rice. Time and time again in this game we saw him make a similar run, in between Villa centre-back and full-back. Yet too often the Arsenal players weren't able to find him. Arsenal have a player here that's able to provide moments. The potential goal was a prime example. A dodgy handball away from 4 goals in 5 games. A 90th minute equaliser. The way that Arsenal maximises his profile is finding risk takers. There's a reason why Mikel Arteta is looking at the profile of Douglas Luiz, a punchy passer on the ball, who loves to be decisive. Arsenal have a problem though, and it's all to do with Gabriel Martinelli. A 6.2 rating in this game taken off in the 70th minute. Martinelli went 0 in 6 for dribbles, missed 1 big chance, and won 0 out of 7 ground duels. The issue comes down to isolation. Focus on Martinelli's heat map and you'll notice, he's rarely entering the box centrally. Arsenal are not giving Martinelli combination play, with Havertz playing more centrally alongside Jesus, Zenko playing deeper in midfield. Martinelli is one of the best finishers in the Premier League, scoring 15 goals last season from an XG of 9.13, meaning he scored 6 more goals than he was expected to. Only Harry Kane and Erling Haaland performed better. This year he's only been involved in 1.79 XG, taking only 1.6 shots per game. Arsenal have to realise this guy's quality. Arsenal have one of the most natural goal scoring wide forwards in the world. Last year in the toughest part of the season, Martinelli was on fire, providing 11 goals and assists in 10 appearances. Mikel needs to give this guy support, whether that's an overlapping fullback, a combining number 8, or allowing Jesus to drift to the left hand side. If Arsenal can maximise Gabriel Martinelli, they will have a Mo Salah-esque winger when it comes to natural goal scoring. Moving on to the full thing, Zenko's issue. We have to understand the vital context. Zenko is not great defensively, but we know that. Mikel Arteta has 2 defenders he normally turns to, Takehiro Tomiyasu and Yuri Timber. To have both out injured at the same time just comes down to bad luck. Zenko's overall performance was fine, a 7.3 rating and 89 minutes played, 9 out of 12 ground duels won, 89 touches, 56 accurate passes and 1 key pass. Villa's goal came on Zenko's left hand side, but I don't think Zenko's really to blame. A decisive goal which is very hard to defend. Other teams are allowed to be good too. The likes of Gabriel and Havertz also could have done better. Zenko's weaknesses are very well known. At times I feel like he's becoming a scapegoat. Not only are his defensive numbers decent, 2.2 tackles per game, 4.4 ball recoveries, winning nearly 70% of his ground duels, you have to ask yourself an important question. Does Zenko offer the team more than he takes away? Arteta knows about his defensive deficiencies. That is why he signed Yuri and Timber. The real question for me is about Anfield. Mo Salah's in form and firing. Will Mikel Arteta trust the likes of Jakub Kiwior? Let's focus on the Arsenal subs though. The main one being Leandro Trossard coming on with a 6.5 rating. In 20 minutes, he had 0 dribbles, only 7 touches, 2 accurate passes and 0 ground balls won. This is yet another example. On that left hand side, the Arsenal winger being isolated, Trossard is not as explosive as Martinelli. To get the best out of him, he needs to play more centrally, hence why he thrives so much more as a false 9. This game was far more suited to Reece Nelson, but it seems like Mikel only trusts certain players. Take for example the performance of Declan Rice, a decent 7.2 rating, 91 touches and 67 accurate passes, 6 out of 11 ground balls won. Fantastic at keeping the ball, but in terms of progression, this game was calling out for a Jorginho profile. With the amount of space in behind Aston Villa, Jorginho's passing ability in behind would have been so useful. With the return of Emile Smith-Rowe and Fabio Vieira, Arteta will have more game changers off the bench. It then comes down to being decisive. Can you throw on the right player for the right game? Moving on to the 5th thing, the vital context. This was only Arsenal's 2nd league defeat of the season. Both have been at difficult away grounds. The important part about both of those games was the fact that our performance was on point. Arsenal played more than well enough to at least get a draw. As Arteta says after the game, we were the better team. I haven't seen a team do what we did to Villa since February. The next step for Arsenal is all about taking advantage. In these big games against Newcastle and Villa, Arsenal had chances. If we're able to become more ruthless, those fine margins will go in our favour. There's one team in the league that's very good at doing that. Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, who once again found a way as they beat Crystal Palace 2-1. And after City beat Luton Town 2-1. Here's how the Premier League table stands. Arsenal dropped to 2nd behind Liverpool by only 1 point. Villa in 3rd, only 1 point behind Arsenal. City not far behind in 4th. Liverpool were interesting though because of their defence. Despite conceding an XG of 20, compared to Arsenal's 12.3, both of the teams have conceded 15. That, my friends, comes down to difference makers. With Alisson in goal and Mo Salah up front, Liverpool's fine margins are going in their favour. Arsenal for me have a better system, defensively far more solid, and I believe more sustainable over the course of the season. Here's an intriguing stat though, that Arsenal's last 3 Premier League defeats have all been Saturday 5:30 PM kickoffs, away from home, with Arsenal's next away game being on the Saturday 5:30 PM kickoff, the 23rd December against Liverpool. Before that you've got PSV away, Brighton at home, then Liverpool away, West Ham at home, Fulham away and Liverpool at home in the FA Cup. Here's where comes in the experience. Having fought for the title last season, the Arsenal team will know you have to bounce back straight away. PSV away in the Champions League is their prime opportunity. Arsenal have qualified top of their group. Things could be about to get interesting, as after Arsenal youngster Ethan Nwaneri scored 5 goals, as the Arsenal under-18s beat Crew Alexander 7-1, is Mikel Arteta going to unleash the new star boy? That is the video there and there though, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things we learned from Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 0. The result may have gone against us, but Arsenal's performance was decent, and now it's time to bounce back against PSV Eindhoven in the Champions League. Until then, stay calm, take care, and have a good